Alright, we're in Blender, everybody. This is the default cube, and I'm going to show you how to use Blender as much as I can. So we're going to go through the basics of navigation. So Blender tends to have its hotkeys set up with the first letter of the name of the thing it's doing. Um, so the basic navigation hotkeys are S, G, and R. R stands for rotate, S stands for scale, and G stands for grab. Which G is a weird one. It should be move technically, but I'm not gonna bug. It's just how Blender has their hotkeys set up, and it's probably easier to get your fingers towards those keys. But once you know those hotkeys, S, R, and G, you can essentially hit any of the X, Y, Z axis keys. So that's just literally X, Y, and Z on your keyboard, and it'll like only lock um, onto that axis when you're moving objects around. And this is super important for later on, essentially, because this will allow you to basically move around Blender pretty freely and quick, especially if you're trying to manipulate objects, because like this is the very basics. Your middle mouse button, this will essentially allow you to not pan, rotate around your object. Um, and then I think it was what was it? Shift and middle mouse button allows you to pan your object, so you can like pan the screen around. And your left click will also let you rotate around the object, but I do not recommend that because it's not rotating around the actual objects. Also, all your number pad keys, these will essentially be navigation tools. So like the vast majority of them allow you to rotate like an actual directional pad, and then the corner ones allow you to go to different angles really quickly. And then hitting 5 will allow you to change perspective mode to orthographic, so it's like straight on, or it's in perspective mode. I actually have an add-on called mouse stick navigation. I'm gonna turn that off in the corner right there, so Blender acts normally. um, but yeah, why this is important is because in edit mode you'll be using the same navigation tools when you're like making objects. So if I hit the key tab, and another way to access edit mode is going up here where it says object mode in the corner, right here, and then clicking edit mode. But I'm gonna hit tab because that's the hotkey to get into edit mode pretty quickly, so you can just repeat hit it if you want. A couple times, get used to like going into that mode if you ever want to mess with objects. Also, there's pie menus. So holding Z lets you get to the different render modes. I don't know what the pie menu for the modes is. There probably is one. It wouldn't surprise me. I just want to get you to the basics. So hitting Control R will let you add an edge loop, and why these are important, I'll explain it later on when we get to modeling. E is inset, and no, wait, no, E is extrude, I is inset. I'm so sorry. I is inset, E is extrude, and yeah. Control B is to bevel, and you can use your mouse slider to essentially change the amount. Although I just made extra faces because I'm stupid. Control B is the thing, and you can change the amount with your middle mouse button by scrolling it. In fact, you can do that with all the things. So if you want to make more cuts for edge loops, you can actually use your middle mouse button to scroll. I'm not so sure about extruding. I don't think you can do that now. And then insets doesn't work that way either. Everything you touch in Blender tends to have this little drop-down menu down at the bottom corner in the left. And you can change settings here as well. This becomes very handy to understand later on. But I'm gonna make a box really quickly with all the tools I showed you so far. So like, let's say we grab all these edges, and this is shift click. So shift click allows you to grab multiple edges at a time. Alt clicking if I have an edge loop, it'll allow you to grab the edge loops or like faces all around a corner. So you can see like all the faces are selected. There's also a couple other selection modes up at the top. They all have individual hotkeys. I don't know all these. These can sometimes come in handy. They're not all like super useful all the time. But back to making a box. I'm gonna grab all the edges. I'm gonna hit Control B after I delete that extra face. I just do this. Right. Control B, and then just kind of bevel the edges. I'm gonna make it a bit smaller. I'm gonna do this. So in edit mode, you can also just select one side of the object and hit P, and then you can separate it by different modes. So if it had a second material on it, you'd be able to separate it by materials. Loose parts is if the object's already separated, because you can hit Y and already separate the object, but it's still in one object. So if I go out of edit mode, it's one object still. And then you can do by selection, which is the highlighted part of their model. So it selects it, and it basically turns it into two pieces. Like, separating it turns it into two different objects. And you see that on the outliner right here where it says scene collection in the corner on the right. It says cube.001. That is the second object that I'm holding right here. In fact, if you can control click on these, like you can actually select multiples. You can also select the objects in the scene through the outliner right here. This is very helpful if you don't know what you're looking at. And you can also organize these, and then you can right click and create new collections, and that'll allow you to create these folders that you can hold different pieces in them. Another quick method of doing that is hitting M. You can basically create these really quickly with M. Move to new collection, you can make a new collection there. But yeah. And this is all kind of basic modeling techniques without telling you about all the modifiers yet. So I'll hit, I'll go into edit mode on this object, and I'll hit F. That'll create a face. And I can inset it, and then I can extrude it upwards. Oh, now it's the top. In fact, I might scale this so it fits the box. But yeah, there we go. You got that. And we got that. And boom. And there is an actual way to make this easier with modifiers. I'll show you that in the next video.